There was a time in Ria's life when everything felt like it was falling apart. She had always been strong, always the one others leaned on. The friend who gave advice, the daughter who never complained, the employee who worked late without being asked. But no one saw how much she was holding in, how much she was carrying behind that quiet smile. It started slowly: missed calls she didn't return, messages left unread, invitations declined. People assumed she was busy. She was, but not in the way they thought. Every morning, she woke up feeling like she hadn't slept at all. Her chest felt heavy, her legs weak. She moved through the day like a ghost going to work, answering questions, pretending, but inside, she was breaking. Some days, she sat on the bathroom floor just to cry when no one could hear her. Other days, she stared at the ceiling at night, wondering when things would change, or if they ever would. Life hurt, not because of one big thing, but because of everything. A series of small disappointments, dreams that didn't come true, friends who left without a reason, a love she thought would last forever, but ended with silence. She didn't talk about it. She thought no one would understand. And even if they did, what could they do? There was a day, she remembered, when she stood at the edge of a balcony, not with the intention of jumping, but with the question in her heart: how much longer can I do this? But something inside her said, just one more day. So she stayed. She kept going. Not because things were better, but because she wasn't ready to give up yet. The next day wasn't easier. In fact, it was harder. But she told herself the same thing again. Just one more day. That became her silent promise. Every night, when she wanted to quit, she whispered, just one more day. And slowly, things began to shift. Not dramatically, not all at once, but small changes. A colleague at work noticed her silence and brought her tea. A friend she hadn't spoken to in months sent a message saying, thinking of you. One evening, she went for a walk. The breeze touched her face, and for the first time in weeks, she took a deep breath that didn't feel forced. She started journaling. Just a few lines a day. Not for anyone else, just for herself. Some pages were filled with pain, others with anger, but some, slowly, began to hold hope. She didn't heal overnight. The hurt didn't vanish, but she kept showing up, kept choosing to rise, even when her legs trembled, kept going, even when she didn't know why. One afternoon, she saw an old woman at the bus stop struggling with heavy bags. Without thinking, Ria walked over and helped her. The woman smiled and said, "Thank you, Beta." Not many people stopped to help anymore. Ria nodded and smiled back. But what she didn't expect was how that moment made her feel needed, useful, alive. She began to understand something. Sometimes, healing isn't about fixing everything. It's about doing the next small thing. It's not about waking up happy. It's about waking up. It's not about having all the answers. It's about asking yourself to try again. One more step, one more breath, one more day. People think strength looks like confidence, like having it all together. But real strength looks like wiping your own tears and still going to work. Real strength is eating something even when you don't feel like it. It's brushing your hair, getting out of bed, smiling at a stranger when your heart feels empty. Strength is in the smallest decisions you make when no one's watching. Ria began to write more, not just in her journal, but stories. Words that she had held inside for years began to flow. She wrote about heartbreak, about loss, about resilience. She shared one story online, a story about a girl who almost gave up but didn't. People read it. Some wrote back. One person said, "I really needed this today." Another said, "This made me feel less alone." That day, Ria cried again, but not because she was broken, because she realized that even her pain had purpose. She had walked through the storm not untouched, not unchanged, but still walking. And now, her journey was helping others find the courage to keep going too. There will be days in your life when nothing makes sense, when the weight you carry feels unbearable, when you feel invisible, when you wonder if anyone would notice if you disappeared. But those are the days that matter most, because those are the days you build your strength, not in loud, heroic ways, but in quiet decisions, to stay, to breathe, to take one more step. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to smile all the time. You're allowed to cry, to feel lost, to fall apart, but don't stop. Keep going, even when life hurts, especially when life hurts, because one day the storm will pass, the weight will lift, and you will look back and realize you were never weak, you were never failing, you were surviving, you were learning, you were growing into the person you were meant to become. Ria's story isn't just hers. It belongs to anyone who ever felt like giving up but chose not to. Anyone who ever sat in silence, holding their pain and shaking hands, but still got up the next day. Anyone who ever asked, "How much longer?" and answered, "Just one more day." So if you're hurting right now, if you feel like you're stuck in a dark tunnel with no end in sight, remember this: you are not alone. You are stronger than you think, and your story isn't over. Keep going.